Hags will be coming up here in about an hour and 45 minutes. I don't know if you know this, but apparently Hags has reached out to Informative Haggerty on Twitter and X to see if the account is still going. He has started it. He is trying to see if, in fact, Informative Haggerty can be resurrected. How about that one for you, Adrian?
I was on the chain, Steve. When he sent that to us, I was laughing. I mean, Tim Haggerty is amazing on some investigative journalism. He's throwing it back right here by doing some investigative journalism to see if we can get to the bottom of this. Who is Inform Haggerty tweets, and are they still active?
Only thing I've told him is it's not Cody Decker. That's all I've said. I said it's not Deck, even though he had put Cody as one of his 3 possible people that he thought ran the account. I told him no. So now he's still trying to figure out who it is. He's trying to see if Informative Hag tweets will be resurrected or if it will stay buried like it has for the last 8 years. Even though he's not responsible for this Twitter and X profile, here's a man who is right now at Circa Hotel in Vegas celebrating his first anniversary as host of Beadle and Decker with Michelle Beadle. That appears daily on Mad Dog Radio at Sirius XM Radio. And today was the day they celebrated their first anniversary. So wouldn't you know it, as the anniversary gift, he has been kind enough to join us from the hotel out there in Vegas. We're talking about our friend of the show. He's Cody Decker. First off, happy anniversary, and welcome back to Sports Talk.
My God, it's Sports Talk with Steve Kaplowitz. And listen, my man, I hear you keep saying it's not me that runs Inform Haggerty tweets. But the thing is, you're saying it in a tone that seems quite incriminating to me. And it's heartbreaking that you think or insinuate that I might be a dastardly enough person to create and run an account about a man who is, quite frankly, so informative. My only problem with Tim Haggerty is that his story time is not Informative Haggerty time.
For now, that could change. And by the way, when I ruled you out, Tim was convinced. It doesn't take much to convince Hags these days. So I told him it was not you. And now he is focusing his attention on other members of the 2014-2015 El Paso Chihuahuas Baseball Club.
Well, look around all you want. This was a completely honest and by-the-book baseball team that certainly did nothing that would be off-color or off-kilter in any way, shape, or form.
All I can tell you. Yeah.
I can't tell you that enough, Steve. You know that. You know me. Am I ever a liar, fibber, or exaggerator? Come on.
Never. By the way, we started reading some of the last few Informative Haggerty tweets, and they were terrific. In fact, Tim even retweeted one, so that shows you just how much he appreciated it.
I actually have a theory, Steve, and I think it's something you should really bring up with Mr. Haggerty, and it's actually starting to bother me. Is it possible that this man himself is actually really just being the Kaiser Soze of the whole situation? Is it possible that maybe Tim Haggerty is actually the man behind Informative Haggerty tweets, and he's just playing the long con? I think everyone in El Paso deserves to know the truth.
Totally possible.
Let me say this. If that's the case, that would be the greatest. That'd be the greatest prank. And this would be right up there with your prank on Jeff Francor from the first season of Chihuahuas baseball, if that would be the case. So,
saying.
We haven't we've never really thought about that. In fact, we have to ask Tim that one later when we talk to him, and maybe he'll slip up like he has during other occasions this year when we've put him on the spot.
Telling you, man, don't trust this man. People this informative can't be trusted.
Cody Decker getting us started here on Sports Talk. I mentioned it earlier. This is you're now a year in to your show with Michelle on Mad Dog Radio and Sirius XM. You go live in El Paso every day. beginning at 10 a.m. and you go till 1 p.m. You tell me, first off, what's it been like? We last caught up with you at Radio Row at the Super Bowl. Now you're at Radio Row for the Fantasy Sports Weekend at Circa, where we were talking to our pal Jeff Erickson from RotoWire, who's also there right now. And
love him.
Yep, and sounds like you guys are just having a great time. It sounds like Michelle was really enjoying herself on the Wheel of Fortune slot machine last night.
Dear God, Michelle Beadle has got a gambling problem, people. It was a massive part of our show today. Her and I were hitting the tables together, and I literally found her at a slot machine last night. She was like, you know how like in old movies when like a doll is possessed and the head slowly turns towards you and it's like a wood creak? She pulled one of those to me, and she's like, I'm up. And I just started laughing. I'm like, this is terrifying. We need to get you to bed. It's been an absolute blast here. Circa is a wonderful, wonderful hotel. If you haven't been, if you're a sports fan, this place is legitimately Candyland for you. It's just the sports book itself, Stadium Swim, all of that. It's just truly a great experience as a sports fan. And Michelle and I are having a blast. We've been hanging out with fans, talking with listeners, and celebrating this 1-year anniversary. We signed another year deal here, and we're having a blast on SiriusXM. Get us nationwide. And I'll tell you this, Steve, we've gotten a couple of really actually solid, frequent El Paso callers that call into the show. So it's been pretty sweet. That's
awesome. That just goes to show you, again, your relationship with this town. And now people from El Paso calling in makes it even better. And you tell me, when you took the gig at Sirius and they paired you up with Michelle, did you think that this was something that had a chance to really develop into what it has?
Well, Steve, you know how it looks around the landscape. Like, I'll tell you, the media landscape these days is like, it's the Wild West. Everybody's like trying things, pairings. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, when I went over to FS1 for the Carton show, Craig, I was Craig's guy. Craig wanted me to be his co-host. And luckily I got the opportunity to do that for a whole year. But I came in 2 days before the show even launched. And literally that's how the show launched. Didn't really know what the show was going to be. I just knew it was going to be Craig, me, we're talking sports, let's go. And that's kind of how a lot of shows start these days. With Michelle, her and I have worked together many times over the past, and we've actually been friends for like 15 years. So it's like it was a setup and match made in heaven, because we just rolled into it as friends and started just talking about sports as friends. And then the conversations just would deviate away into more almost lifestyle conversations surrounded by sports. Because both of us are, as much as we love the X's and the O's, we love the peripheral around sports. We love fandom of sports even more. We find that more interesting. And it's just a good time. It's a good hang for 3 hours, man.
Your personalities also play off each other really well, and chemistry is so important. I've seen great talent that sometimes just can't mix when they put them together, and it doesn't necessarily work. But it seems like the two of you have personalities that blend perfectly in terms of the show, the concept, and what you're trying to do.
Really is. And, when I think of, like, my favorite broadcasters of all time, I grew up in Los Angeles at a time where radio was just, honest to God, the best form of medium in the world. I had Howard Stern. I had Mark and Brian. I had Kevin and Bean. I had Big Boy. I had, Rick Dees. You just moved a dial a quarter centimeter, and there was another radio Hall of Famer. And, take that and everything like what Conan O'Brien is doing with his work over at SiriusXM and his Team Coco thing. Like, everything kind of molded together and put that with sports. That is kind of like what we do, and it's what interests us. And a lot of people have been along for the ride, and it's been awesome. It's been a runaway train thus far, and I'm having a blast.
Cody Decker joins us here on Sports Talk as we continue. It is strange to think that when you left El Paso, that's when your broadcast career really took a turn for the best. I mean, think about it. It wasn't that much long after that when the Carton gig opened up, and now you're on SiriusXM. And I seem to recall a conversation I was having with you a while back where I said, don't worry, once you get out of here, things are going to be okay for you. They're going to find its way of working out. And as much as we would have loved to keep you in El Paso, I'm happy for you, because you've really had a good chance to enjoy some great opportunities since you left.
You know how much I love the city of El Paso, and how much I really wanted to make that like my permanent home. I wanted to do something along the lines of like what McAfee was doing for Indianapolis. I wanted to kind of build my media my media work and everything around the city of El Paso with all the things I was trying to accomplish. And sadly, it just didn't work out that way. And, I have always just adored that city, the people, the culture, just everything about El Paso. It's one of those places that's in my heart forever. But you're not wrong, dude. I was lucky when I was in El Paso, because when I was in El Paso, I was doing the nonprofit thing, but then on top of that, I had a radio show in Chicago. I had a radio show nationwide. I had a separate 2 BetMGM podcasts that were nationwide, and I was doing fine. But the moment I got back to LA and left El Paso, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see it, I immediately got hired by Stadium and had a TV show in Chicago, and I went to do that for a few weeks while still working at 670 The Score, and then Carton called, and I moved to New York, and I've been in New York now starting my 3rd year in New York, and I have no intention of leaving anytime soon. I've been spoiled. I've been lucky. I've been surrounded by great people like yourself and Adrian, Steve. You guys are no slouches in this industry at all. So I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by truly great people in this industry and just in life.
Cody Decker with us here on Sports Talk as we get things started on a Friday. So you tell me right now, we've got about 5 weeks left in the baseball season. College football kicks off tomorrow. We got games this weekend, and then really the fun starts next week with a full slate, and then the NFL right after that. What are you excited about most? You excited about the baseball postseason, the fact that football's here, all of the above? You tell me.
I'm very excited about baseball postseason. And listen, I'm a Raider fan. So my NFL predictions are always a little tempered with a very horrific fandom. But I am actually excited as a Raider fan. I'm in Las Vegas right now. I just had an argument with Bostonian versus the Book on their show about the entire concept of whether or not the Raiders can beat their season totals. I mean, you kidding? 6.5 wins? Absolutely. This team went 8-9 last year. Ton of cigar parties coming Raiders' way. I'm really excited for the football season, man. Who am I kidding? And I'm not going to lie to you, Steve. You left one out. WNBA, bro, is lit. WNBA is where it's at, bro. I'm so into WNBA, and my fandom is still for sale, but I am leaning towards either Las Vegas Aces, yell at me all you want, or New York Liberty. Hell, I live in New York now, right? Got to get my New York team.
Have you attended any Liberty games so far this season?
No, because it's in Brooklyn, and my guy, I live in Hell's Kitchen. That doesn't sound far. It's literally 2 miles, but you wouldn't believe it. In New York City, that is very far.
And with your job, it makes traveling a little difficult because you got to get a good night's rest, be ready to prep in the morning, and then jump right into it. It's not, you don't just show up, get on the microphone, and start talking. Although some people probably think that's exactly what we do. Well,
Steve, you've been to my apartment in New York City. You came over. We ended up having a nice little beverage. We went out to dinner. You've seen my setup. It's a Buffalo Wild Wings as far as the television setup is concerned. I have a TV in every corner of my room. My living room, and I'm not exaggerating or kidding, has 4 televisions on it. My rooftop has 5 TVs on it. My bedroom has 1. But don't worry, we can grow.
And you are. And it's true. All those things are true. You've got a great setup. That's exactly. You've brought it all to your place, which is what it's all about. So I'll ask you this, all right? Year 1 in the books. What would you like to accomplish in year 2 now with Michelle as the show continues to grow? Let me hear.
What do I want to accomplish? I just want as many people to join us and listen in. I've obviously, as a personal note, we have a 1-year deal coming in here now. Literally today was day 2 of this 1-year deal, and I would love to grow this show and stay with this show for as long as I humanly can. And I don't know. This show would be something that I think would be very great on TV. I think this would also be a long-term radio show. Honest to God, Michelle Beadle is the single best person I've ever had the opportunity to work with, and I've, for the most part, have worked with really great people. Craig Carton, yourself. I've gotten to work with everybody at 670 The Score and WFAN. It's just I've been very spoiled, and Michelle is probably for me the creme de la creme when it comes to sports talk.
Cody, aside from sports, we talk a lot of movies with you. In fact, you were one of the persons who gave me a lot of great recommendations about 2 years ago on classic movies to watch. What are some of the best movies that we need to watch this year, or from the Cody Decker files? What are the best movies that you've seen of 2024?
best movie. I mean, listen, we can't sit here and pretend that Deadpool and Wolverine wasn't just joy. 100% elation if you are a nerd like myself. Outside of that, I mean, Dune Part 2 was a masterpiece. The fact that movie was even intelligible is a masterpiece. Quite frankly, I'm getting into award season now, man. We're getting to the end of summer. This is when the good movies really start, Adrian. Maybe I got to fly into the pass, and you and I are going to hit up the Alamo Draft House, and I got to show you a couple of films, my guy.
There we go. I'm in. That sounds awesome, man.
Are you looking forward to the new Marvel movies that are going to be coming out now that we heard Robert Downey Jr. is going to play Dr. Doom?
Oh, my God, yes. Are you kidding me? There's so many opportunities to play with this. I'm so fired up with what they're doing. What they just showed us with Deadpool and Wolverine is showing us that nothing's off limits. And clearly the announcement of Robert Downey Jr. means they're willing to spend and make this as good as they humanly can. I'm on board. Just keep feeding my nerd eyeballs. I'll be fine. All
right. Well, listen, we're excited for you. Congratulations on getting opportunity number 2 with Michelle and your program on Sirius XM Mad Dog Radio, Beadle and Decker, 10-1 here in El Paso. And speaking of El Paso, I know on a couple of occasions you were supposed to be in this summer. Things didn't work out. We still got to get you back and find a way to have you back. Come back in town for a weekend.
Give me a reason, bro. You can't just throw out a couple of restaurants. Trust me. A couple of them almost got me to do it, but you got to throw me a little something more, man. It's hard. Here's the reason, dude. It's actually really hard to get to El Paso from New York.
It is. It is. That is true. No doubt about that. All right, I have an idea, but it's not till next June. But I'll text you that off the air, and I'll make sure that for now we'll make sure we get you in here for a weekend next June. That's going to be Joel's bar mitzvah, so we got to get you to come in for that.
I mean, well, you got me. Damn it. Well, obviously, I can't say no to that.
All right, you just.
I'll come to that. Well, hey, can we make it like a twofer? Can you let's get Brad over there at the Chihuahuas to do something cool? I'll throw out a first pitch or something. I don't know.
Cody Decker night.
Yeah, you know what? Andy Enfeld just stepped down last week as on-field MC.
Legend.
Yes. Would you like to take over the mic one night and basically be the on-field MC the entire night for a Chihuahuas baseball game? Would that interest you?
You know, Steve, I know you knew me at a certain time in my life, but I'm really expensive these days.
Yeah, that's why I got to make sure Brad can afford you. That's exactly. All right.
If he throws in a couple of rounds at the golf course, maybe we can get this done.
All right. I'll help out with that part as well, too. Listen, enjoy yourself out in Vegas. Thanks for kicking us off. We'll get to the bottom of Inform Hag tweets. Find out later what's going on with that. Is Tim faking us out all along? We'll report back to you on that. In the meantime, always appreciate the time joining us on the show.
If you take one thing away from this conversation, do not trust Tim Haggerty.
We've got you. All right. He's Cody Decker. He's starting us off here on Sports Talk. 21 past. Let's go to Charlie with traffic. We got a busy one today as we continue. 600 ESPN El Paso. All right. Appreciate Cody Decker getting us started on the show today. Right now it's time for our Football Friday Night Fall Football Countdown brought to you by El Paso Community College. Matter of fact, classes are going to be starting up here pretty soon at EPCC. In fact, we have classes beginning Monday. That's right, Monday. They'll get started for the fall semester. You can visit epcc.edu to register and talk to somebody about virtual classes as well. And Adrian Villa Verde open till 7 p.m. through Tuesday of next week to get everybody signed up.
This is me. This is actually made for me, Steve, because I was the guy who registered late for classes, later than I would say most, but it's okay. You know, the biggest point is to actually register for classes out at El Paso Community College, and they've got over 145 programs and degrees to choose from. That's what's so great about them. It's not just about in-class, degrees. You could also get workforce training and get certified certified on the job in little as little as 12 months out at El Paso Community College. Hey, check them out online. It's epcc.edu for all the classes and degrees that they offer.
So we talked yesterday about Del Valle and how good they can be with so many players back and being a by-district finalist. Well, look at Canutillo, our next team to focus on. Again, area finalist, 9-3, undefeated in district. And the best part about Scotty Brooks' team, 7 on offense are back, 8 on defense are back. And they've got a couple of loaded players, Adrian. I don't even know where to start with this team because, again, as much as we think that Del Valle is going to be good, man, Canutillo looks like they're ready to go again.
What a district. 1-5A Division II. It's loaded. We haven't even got to Chapin yet, and I can't wait to talk about them next week. But with Canutillo, they deserve a whole day for themselves. On defense, you don't even know where to start. I start with Eduardo Carrillo, who I watched as a freshman light it up for this Canutillo team. Last year, it was an injured season for him. He was dinged up early on and didn't return until late in the year. But, man, this guy could run the ball for you. He could take passes and intercept them. He can also take punts for you as well. He's just an all-around athlete. TJ Laughlin is probably their most D1 ready player on their team. 87 tackles last year. He also had 4 sacks, 2 interceptions. They got a lot of production from Rene Huerta, their running back. He's back this year as well. And then you also talk about another skill position player like David Alvarado, who also played as a freshman, Steve. So these guys are veterans. They're not just newcomers. They're guys who've been around the program for a while. And the window of opportunity is now for Canutillo, Coach Scott Brooks, who's done a great job over the past couple of years. And here's the final nugget I'll throw out there. Canutillo has a Big 12 alum who might be a starting running back, LJ Martin with the BYU Cougars. How cool is that? And he just was playing for Canutillo 2 seasons ago. It just shows you the great program that they have over there in far west El Paso. Canutillo, they're one of my picks to get out of by district and make it back to area just like they did last year.
Man, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fantastic race. This is going to be the district to end all districts. And you look at historically how good they've been in El Paso, this one could be the exact same thing.
Oh, right. I mean, you talk about what if Chapin upsets a team like Canutillo, but then Canutillo turns around and beats Del Valle. And then we're talking about complete chaos. Davion Singleton over with Chapin, Jake Fetty and Manny Fuller over with Del Valle. And now we're talking about guys like TJ Laughlin, Eddie Carrillo, and Rene Huerta over with Canutillo. Just some great teams and all-around solid talent in this district. Again, 1-5A Division II.
Can't wait, folks. Again, that's our preview for today, and we'll have more next week as we get closer and closer to the start of the high school football season. Right now, let's send it over to Adrian. He's back, bottom of the hour, and has our first Sports Center update of the show. Moving right now, 505-6009. That's 505-6009. Get you right on in and through to the program. This UConn with talks to join the Big 12 is a very, very interesting story, except, they would, I guess, looking at the Huskies joining, I wonder if it's going to happen. Now, this will not include football. This will include everything but football. So, and if you're the Big 12, you know why you want UConn. You want UConn for college basketball. That's the key. The Big 12 is already a stacked league. Just imagine how much better they're going to be if, in fact, the Huskies are part of this list.
I know. It's such a basketball conference. Arizona, Kansas, UConn, Steve. What a juggernaut of a conference when it comes to men's basketball right there. I don't think you even need them. You don't really even care about them for any other sport. In fact, football would devalue the Big 12. So I think this is actually a really solid thing. Let them go to Conference USA for football. For basketball, they can bring that kind of powerhouse of a program, and we'll see a mega conference when it comes to men's hoops out in the Big 12.
Oh, I'll tell you right now, Conference USA would love them in football. After all, they just added Delaware, so this would finally give Delaware somebody that's in closer proximity than everywhere else in this conference. So you say that as probably in jest, but the truth is, I wouldn't be surprised one bit if CUSA goes after UConn for football.
Seriously, man, CUSA needs more affiliated teams to help out with things like travel costs, and it's not for football, men's basketball, and those sports that make a lot of money. It's for every other sport out there that really struggles when it comes to travel. I want divisions back in Conference USA, Steve. So you're talking about Delaware. Well, what about Missouri State? That's also coming into the mix, too. Now you can finally split it up a little west-east or north-south, whatever you need to do for Conference USA to make it make more geographic sense.
Meanwhile, what about the story that also came through today, which is the NCAA's Football Oversight Committee will recommend eliminating the 15-day spring transfer portal window. This is according to CBS's Dennis Dodd, who heard this from sources. The Division I Council received the proposal this week and will decide whether it moves forward towards its fall meetings. What this means, if it's adopted, is that it could take effect as early as 2025, which would mean that athletes looking to transfer before next season would have to do so during the winter. That's right, the winter portal window, and not the spring. Now, here's what's interesting, okay? Here's some numbers for you. More than 3,800 players entered the portal following last season, which blew past the previous record of 3,502 set during the 22-23 cycle. Of those, more than 1,200 did so during the spring window, according to 247 Sports. While the spring window was popular, only 11 of the top 100 players in the transfer portal rankings entered during the spring cycle, including just 3 of the top 50. Now, what I find interesting is this, okay? Let's take a look at what happened to UTEP. I'm just going to use them as an example with Scotty Walden. He takes over in December. By the spring, a lot of players who are playing spring ball for UTEP were told in meetings afterwards that they wouldn't have a spot for them. So if this was to happen and that was to take place, then what? Does that put more pressure on the school to tell players really in the winter that they're not coming back rather than try to keep them on? Because I'm only using that as an example, Adrian, since so many UTEP players that were playing for Scotty in the spring were told afterwards they wouldn't have a spot, they have to go into the portal and find somewhere else.
Yeah, I think for practicality reasons, it doesn't make sense to have that spring transfer window. Can you imagine somebody who's just about to graduate or just about to finish their college career and then they've got to switch their path last minute and maybe go down a division, maybe go to the FCS ranks or whatever it might be, just because that isn't the case? I'm just a fan of shorter windows or maybe one long window, and that's about it, instead of multiple transfer portal windows. I think it's really confusing. And you think about just things like rosters and developing a depth chart and stuff like that. There's no problem, or I have no issue or problem with them adding summer players or adding some late spring additions, but to have a fluid roster and to add or drop some players after the spring, I think that window should be shut, or I think it should be trimmed down a little bit.
But does that mean that if there's a coaching change after the season, they have to immediately tell players if they're not looking to keep them, then they're going to be out? Because how do you do that? Like, you can't. That means you can't tell a player if they go through the spring they don't have a spot for you, because what are those players supposed to do? You can't transfer after the spring if that's the case. You got to wait till the following winter. So how would that play into it?
Well, so the timelines are all messed up anyways, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the first place, because if you're doing it in November, then actually what you're doing is killing all the bowl games. What you're really doing, everything outside of the college football playoff, because no matter what, everybody's just going to be in the portal. If you're in a bowl game that isn't the CFP, you're going to hit the transfer portal and try to go elsewhere anyways. So if you're talking about getting back on campus, I think the window should actually be probably like January through March. That's the window right there, and then shut it after that. That gives everybody a chance to go to campus or leave campus and then acclimate yourself in a full semester semester after the college football playoff happened. But that's in a perfect world, Steve. We're also talking about semesters. We're talking about different start times for all these different schools and stuff like that. And we also forget these people are college kids, student athletes here.
Let me let Alberto Duetta, the third person in on the show today, weigh in on this discussion. Give me your thoughts on potentially getting rid of the spring transfer portal window.
No, I think from what we saw at UTEP, like you brought up, it would be a bad idea because all those kids would kind of get a really rough end of the deal if they were to be let go like some students were here just recently. So I think that the system is faltered, the transfer system for college students. We're in this weird period where everything is readjusting, but I think that eliminating the transfer window would be a bad thing.
Well, I don't think coaches could then get rid of players. I think that's the flip side to this story is that if you get rid of the spring transfer portal window, what that essentially means is that coaches will have to decide at the end of the season if they want to look elsewhere for certain players in certain positions. They just wouldn't allow them to go through spring ball and then try to make a change. Now, I think the only exception to this would be coaching changes. I seem to recall that if, in fact, a new coach comes on board, then they give you the exception to let players enter the portal that wouldn't normally have the ability to do so. So let's say a coach takes a job either before, right after spring ball or during spring, then players could have the opportunity to go places. But otherwise, that it just means that you'd have to decide on your personnel right after the season.
And that really, the example you just set right there, it really only pertains to people who are like fired or who get promoted in the off-season type of thing, which is also kind of rare too. You talk about the off-season changes that happen. It's usually November, December. All coaching decisions have been made, and then if there's any scandals over the off-season, then that's when you talk about coaching cycles or changes.
So true. So true. You want to weigh in on it? 505-6009. That is our telephone number to get into the program. 505-6009. Hey, want to give Pinky a big shout-out on the program right now. Great news. We found out that he is going to be honored for homecoming as the Socorro High School Honored X. That's our pal Jaime Pinky Arrieta. And by the way, I'm looking at his senior yearbook picture. He looks the same. And that picture was taken a long time ago. So the man doesn't even age. Congratulations, though, to Pinky, who deserves it, and I'm super excited for him to be honored.
He thanked us in his acceptance text, Steve.
I hope he says that at Socorro. Be nice if he gives us a little love during his speech at Socorro when he's being honored.
Yeah, we'll have to get some footage from that one right there, Pinky. We need some camera access and stuff like that, but good stuff, Pinky.
Great stuff. All right, line ringing in. We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up our 1 of 2. Stay with us. Sports Talk continues. 600 ESPN El Paso. Back here on Sports Talk as we continue at 49 past the hour. 505-6009. That is our telephone number to get into the show. That's 505-6009. Taking a look at Twitter and X at 600 ESPN El Paso. Enrique Ortiz. I'm loving this conference alignment talk with UConn. Just to throw a question out there. How likely could we see a super merger with CUSA and the American Athletic? Now, that's a super conference and would be a big Texas division. Enrique, the biggest issue with that is schools wanted to leave Conference USA for the American Athletic. And considering the payout is so much greater at the American Athletic, I don't think they would look at that as a downgrade to merger to form a super league with CUSA. I feel like, the old teams that are now in the American Athletic from this league, they looked at this as a league that was going nowhere for them. They had no money. They weren't getting any TV revenue. And when they left for monetary reasons. So even though from a Texas standpoint it would be great, Adrian, I don't ever see the AAC putting any kind of a merger in place with CUSA.
Yeah, actually, I think CUSA is in a bit of trouble on the football side of things, Steve, and I'll explain why. I think Liberty if they run the table this year and they go like 11-1 or 12-0 or something like that, then this is Liberty's conference and everybody else. It's no one else other than Liberty, and this becomes a conference dominated by the Flames, and then it's just everybody else. And then in other sports, that's where teams can be competitive. But Liberty, as it stands right now, if they go back-to-back in their first 2 years of Conference USA, this is their conference right here. Everybody else, step aside.
It reminds me of when Boise State first joined the Mountain West, and they were playing in New Year's 6 bowls, and everybody's looking around going, well, who else is there in the Mountain West besides Boise, because they just made it look so easy.
Yeah, that's going to be the argument this year. Who do you take? 10-1 Memphis team, 11-2 Memphis team, or whatever it ends up being, or a undefeated Liberty team who beats no one in their conference schedule? I find that very interesting. I feel like there's going to be, with this at-large bid for Group of 5 teams, I think it's going to be very contentious, even if Conference USA is better than it was last year. And by the way, Liberty ends up playing a New Mexico State team last year that a lot of people didn't think would actually get to the CUSA championship game, but they did. And that's a great accomplishment by New Mexico State, but it also is a testament to how this conference wasn't that deep last year, wasn't that loaded at all.
No, it's so true. Look, we all know that in football, right now, after the top 2 or 3 teams, it's completely wide open. And really, you said it best. Liberty is head and shoulders better than every single team in this league, and it's not even close.
And let's also talk about and bring resources, money to the table and stuff like that. So, when Enrique is saying stuff like a merger with AAC and CUSA, Conference USA needs to be worried about Liberty bolting for one of these conferences, because then what? Then they're going to be left with Kennesaw State, Missouri State, and Delaware coming in, and Liberty exiting, which carried a lot of money and has a lot of resources over there.
That's a good point, too. So as much as, listen, in a perfect world, what Enrique's saying is kind of like the idea of, hey, maybe UTEP could turn things around and get out of this league and go into the Mountain West. I mean, the thing is that right now, if you're a fan of UTEP, all you want to see is just them turn around and become, I'm not even want to say powerful or good, just have a program that's been better than it's been. I mean, hopefully Scotty Walden, by the way, I saw his FitFam video today. Did you see that?
Yes. Alberto did too.
Alberto played it for me. And I mean, or did you play it for me, Adrian? Who played it for me?
It was Alberto.
Yeah, Alberto came into my office, and he played this for me. And I mean, folks, I got to just play the audio for you. Matter of fact, I think I might have even time to do this. So let me see if I can play right now the audio of what Scotty Walden did today specifically for FitFam. Because when I heard it, I didn't believe it at first.
Big audio day and big video day for UTEP football. They dropped the video today with our own Cade McConnell as well. So we got to play that in our second hour.
We do. Yeah, we do. In fact, I got to see if this video for Scotty was it under posts, or was this on their just on their regular feed? Because I'm already. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm looking at his eyes. He's got the craziest eyes I've ever seen in this video. Here, listen to this, folks, and let me know what you think. Hopefully,
Fam, it's me, Scotty Walden, head football coach at UTEP. I was just practicing a little championship edge. Hands inside, run your feet on contact, because I'm ready for the first game. September 7th against Southern Utah. Be there, be square. The Sun Bowl is going to be packed. It's going to be lit. It's going to be exciting, fearless, fast, physical football. UTEP Miners, baby. The team in El Paso, baby. Picks up. I'll see you there.
All right, listen. He cut a promo, all right, for FitFam, and his eyes were wide open, and he never blinked. Like, it was the craziest thing ever. He had the biggest eyes I've ever seen in any promo he's cut. No blinking. Like zombie eyes. So, I mean, and by the way, that was a full-on pro wrestling promo that Scotty Walden cut. It was like vintage WWE.
Be there, be square. We'll give him some better ones. We'll give him some better ones down the line.
You think we need to?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll work on that.
Yeah, we'll help him out.
Don't we see him on Monday? We can give him some advice.
Yeah, we got him.
All right, cool. 1 down, 1 to go, folks. Stay with us. The Foss leading off hour number 2 right after the Dallas Cowboys update with Christy Scales. It's all coming right here, 600 ESPN El Paso. Our next guest joining us on our Longhorn Distributing Hotline, where all of our guests always appear. By the way, special thanks to Lauren Hodges and Longhorn Distributing for sponsoring our hotline. In fact, all of our guests, Adrian, always appear via the Longhorn Distributing Hotline. Very important that we let our listeners know that. And Longhorn's got a little bit for everybody, that's for sure. In fact, whether it's equipment, whether it is also power washers, it doesn't matter. Longhorn Distributing has it all. That's what they're all about.
You know, we're going to be very busy on our Longhorn Distributing Hotline all football season, Steve. So that's another thing that's really exciting, and super happy that we're working with a great team out there. Lauren Hodges, big shout out to him. And for football season, our Longhorn Distributing Hotline is going to be busy all season long.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that also means we jump out to the Longhorn Distributing Hotline and welcome in the one and only Steve Foster, the Foss, joining us here on the program. Hey, Foss, welcome back. And it's right before the last Dallas Cowboys exhibition game of the season. Then the real games will start up. So we figured what a great time to have you. Also, high school football starts up next week.
You're right. In fact, if you hear a little noise behind me, we're actually prepping for our next week's game next Friday against Manor. So you may wonder about Manor. The Dallas Cowboys have selected a gentleman who went to Manor High School and is now playing offensive line.
Does that mean you're actually at Bowie High in Austin doing your prep work for the Manor game?
No. We're doing for the season as a whole.
Oh,
as a whole.
Okay.
But we got a little punch bowl social going on. Not my choice, but yeah, why not?
Hard prep, huh?
Yeah. Hey,
Let me ask you something. Adrian,
Yes.
why don't we do more Punch Bowl socials on Sports Talk
Yes.
before we get ready for football Friday night? Why is Foss always the one that has the opportunity to enjoy the Punch Bowls every time he joins us on the show?
I know. It seems like if he's not out at a football field or a stadium, he's at a nice networking event or something like that, maybe a happy hour event or something. I'm always jealous,
no, don't be jealous. Just remind yourself, life is too short to go anything less than VIP. If you keep that in mind, the tides will turn.
Okay. So should we just call you from now on Steve? Forget the Foss. Just call you Steve VIP Foster. Would you like that?
That's interesting. We could use it, see what happens.
Yeah. After all the years, the Foss gets replaced by VIP. So there you go. That wouldn't be bad.
But VIP for everyone. Let's do this right. It's not one of those groups that we just have to be so selective. Let's bring all of our friends.
So what you're telling me is...
Let's bring El Paso. El Paso needs to be just VIP worldwide.
So you didn't put the I in VIP. You put the P for people in VIP.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. When I'm not in El Paso, people know wherever I'm at that El Paso is VIP. That's how we roll.
You must have been thrilled this week when you heard the news that Jerry Jones will wait until after the season before he decides to negotiate with Dak Prescott on a new deal, if that even happens.
Correct. That's the proper approach.
Was there ever any doubt in your mind that Jerry was going to go that direction?
No. I don't think so. He may be old, but he's not stupid.
Well, be careful what you say, because precedent has been set in years past. So maybe he's actually learned from his past mistakes.
Well, hopefully all of us have done that, including yours truly, no doubt. That would be the best. That would be the best answer. And, I was talking with Adrian when we were setting things up today, and I said maybe it's a reverse psychology deal that on paper the Cowboys are awful, but they actually win the games on the field.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would.
Yeah.
That really would. And I mean, the way that they're coming around, especially their defense. you're going to get the offense, okay? But you got to have a defense. And I've always said that as much as an offensive perspective as I appreciate, your defense has to be – and, I was talking to some folks about, what's the deal about, Dallas' defense? They were one of the tops. And I said, yes, statistically, but when we needed them most, they didn't show up, and that's a problem.
How does the news that Dallas will wait on Dak affect potentially what everybody needs, which is the contract extension for CeeDee Lamb and the holdout to end?
They probably can get that deal done.
How? They don't have much money left because of how this contract is taking up so much of their payroll. How do they do it?
Yeah, they in the old country, I was born in Germany. They say, we have ways. They have ways. You can pay them a ton of bonus money. Look, Jerry Jones has money. $10 billion just in that franchise, and that's not the only business he's a part of or owns, okay? Guy owns like 30 businesses. He is never going to hurt for money. If you need to get your product to be worth $11 billion, pay the people that are stars in your business.
And by the way, you're right, because if you throw enough money into a signing bonus that that does not affect the cap, then you could stretch that out and do exactly what you need to and give him the kind of guaranteed money that he needs to make this thing happen.
And then it's over. Jerry, you can always make more money. Jerry, you don't always have teams that can win a Super Bowl. That's the mystery.
All right, Foss, we're talking fantasy football kind of draft period right here, and we're also talking CeeDee Lamb here. So are you if you're up on the clock, and let's say you've had you have the third pick, and Christian McCaffrey and Justin Jefferson are already taken, already off the board, is CeeDee Lamb for you number 3? Are you thinking he's one of the more valuable fantasy players out there, assuming everything goes right with him with the Cowboys in his contract situation?
Okay. Yes, I think he probably number 3. Do I pick him? I'm not sure.
Why?
I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm just saying I'm not sure.
Why is that?
Why?
Yeah.
Running backs love running backs. We love running backs. And it's and I've done mock drafts already for this year. Very, 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 very deep in wide receiver. Not so much in the running back spot. So I don't know.
Well, my point here was if we're talking about him as being this productive, then you take him that early, a top 5 pick. I just used 3 as an example.
Listen, if they said, "Oh gosh, you missed your first opportunity to pick, you got CeeDee Lamb as your first pick," I'm never going to be mad at anybody doing that. I just may look at some other scenario that may consist of a running back. May.
Now, my bigger concern with CD is this, okay? And I said this on the air this week, and I've thought about this a lot. He's been gone the whole training camp. And, we don't know if he's in game shape. We don't know how long that's going to take. And we also don't know if he's going to pull a hamstring or a groin or some kind of other injury because during this holdout, he maybe has not put himself at the same level of fitness that he would be if he was playing for the Cowboys right now.
I think CD has come from a pretty good background. I wouldn't have that as a huge concern, but it is one. Definitely.
Well, I think for Cowboy fans, they just want him because they realize they need him. It has to happen. So that's
you got to have him. You got to have him.
Yeah. No, I agree. And chances are, now let's throw this at you. Should CeeDee Lamb become the highest paid wide receiver in the game, in your opinion?
I don't have an issue with that.
Okay, because right now, Justin Jefferson makes $35 million a year. That's the number one paid receiver, and apparently Jerry has already offered him money to make him the number 2 receiver in the game, but that is not enough to get CD to end his holdout.
Then do it in the signing, do it in the bonus.
Yep.
He can make more money. Jerry's going to make more money. It's not like you're talking about us trying to budget CeeDee Lamb's paycheck. It's Jerry Jones. Money is no object for this guy. So Get him the number 2 contract, pay him the bonus, and he goes number 1 with the bonus money, and let's move on. Why are you arguing when you've got that much money? That's dumb. I'm sitting there going, I can't pay for the freaking steaks because I make $300,000 and it's $60. So what? Hey, it's cheap money.
So you just kind of answered your own question, and that is why is Jerry still jerking around with CeeDee Lamb? Why not just
Probably
why shouldn't
he can? Probably because he can. Some people love that power BS. Look what I can do. Look what I can make them do. I'm gonna make them sweat. Because that's what some people do, bro.
Foss.
I would get the deals done and be done with it, so I can concentrate on football and not money.
The Cowboys' final preseason games against the Chargers this weekend. You look at Jim Harbaugh. What are your thoughts on him here in his first season? I'll just remind you this: when he coached his first season with the 49ers, he was actually Coach of the Year that season. They went 13-3 that year. Then his first season with Michigan, they were like 10-3. Won the Citrus Bowl that year. They were really strong that first season. So it seems like at least first year for Jim Harbaugh in the two recent stints have been pretty successful.
Oh, he's got to figure out, because he's at a new team on this pro level. I think he plays some of his guys at least that first half, sees what he has, and that'll be a good test for some of the guys on the fringe and going to be on the practice squad for both teams.
By the way, with an exhibition game coming up tomorrow against the Chargers, if you were Dallas, would you play any of your starters in this game, or would you rest them all?
I'd rest them if I knew that they were going to make the team. What's the need?
Yeah, I mean, but then, okay, let's take that a step.
The last one is meaningless to me. That's to see how you do the roster cuts, so on and so forth. But the starters, they don't really need to play, in my estimation. You can give them a couple series just because they got dressed up, but I don't know. I don't know why.
Well, how about this? You just said that the last one is meaningless for you. Well, they haven't played the starters in the first 2 games either. So apparently the Cowboys haven't really been too concerned.
You want to have some real reps because you get fighting in camp because you keep seeing the same people and they know what the play is and they run to the hole and they tackle you and pile on and stuff. Yeah, you got to have another team that doesn't know the plays every other snap and then going to try to not give you a real look at how the play is going to work. I used to hate that. All right, then run it again. So now we know we're going, B gap, right side of the line. Three linebackers. I'm like, why don't you just fake it and see if anybody's paying attention to a play action pass? Because clearly all they're going to do is run and try to, look like they're practice heroes. So you need another team. It's important.
Do you feel any better about Dallas's backup quarterbacks now than you did, let's say, this time last year, knowing we've seen a lot of Trey Lance, not as much of Cooper Rush, but they've really given Lance the majority of the exhibition snaps so far?
Yeah, because Cooper Rush is your insurance policy. You know he can be all right. He can win games. But you want to see what Trey Lance can do because you're dealing with Dak, and maybe does he jump in front of Cooper Rush because he was a past top 5 pick. Absolutely. That's what they're doing there, in my opinion.
Not to mention, Trey Lance is also a free agent after this season. So if the Cowboys are going to try to re-sign him, they need to have a better idea of what they could be getting.
Exactly. And they could get it cheaper than that.
A lot cheaper. A lot cheaper. So
and sometimes the value actually works. It's funny, just to give you kind of a little bit of an analogy. Kirkland makes golf balls. You could buy them at Costco. Well, they were the same guys that were making Titleist, but it was the off-brand. And people realized I could pay $19 a box as opposed to $45 a box. Pretty much cut from the same cloth. So you don't know what you have till you get out there and you let it, show you instead of just it's the Missouri theory. Show me. You got to show me.
So what you're telling me is that Trey Lance could be the Kirkland version of Dak Prescott.
Oh, of a very good NFL quarterback. Dak is very good. Yes. Okay. And he could have some savvy in the second season. That's the only box I really can't check with Dak, the second season. But that's the one that counts.
Can you believe that here we are a week and a half away from the season? Christian McCaffrey's got a calf strain. Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb are both holding out. Tyreek Hill has a hand injury. And also, Brandon Ayuk is, waiting to find out what happens with him. It's been a wild preseason so far.
That's good, though. That's good for the league because they want to be in business of grabbing the headlines at all times. The NFL is trying to be a 10-month out of a year business where back when we were kids, Cappy, it was a 5-month deal, max.
That's true. All right. Anyway, we'll see what happens.
They doubled their pleasure and quadrupled their money. I love what they do. Great business model.
Are the Dallas Cowboys, in your opinion, heading into this season, do they still track as a 10 or 11 win team right now for you?
Well, see, that's the crazy thing I was telling Adrian. It looked like not so great on paper, but they may play better as a team and get you to the 10 wins. I say the over-under is 9. I may have to go over.
Well, I mean, yeah. Listen, if they go 9-8, that might not even get you into the playoffs. You might fall short of the wild card if you're 9-8.
Bill Belichick's the head coach if they're 9-8.
Yeah, they are. That's true. That's true. Okay. Yeah, McCarthy's gone if they're 9-8. McCarthy could be gone if they're 10-7.
You're right. I was fixing to say. Yeah, it just depends on how Jerry feels that day. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah. All right, listen. Go back to your prep. Go enjoy your punch bowl, whatever you call that.
Social.
Was it?
Punch bowl social.
Yeah,
next time you're here, we gotta come through here.
Okay. Enjoy the punch bowl social, and we'll get a chance to talk to you right back here next week. All right.
That sounds great. Hey, I will be heading that way next month.
Next month
for homecoming.
Okay. Do we have a specific date? Are you going to come in on a Friday or a Thursday? When are you going to come in?
Might be a Thursday.
Okay.
Maybe, I think Thursday maybe. But the week, 19th, 20th.
Oh, that's
Just
Eastwood's.
So you know, 19th,
okay.
20th.
Eastwood's homecoming is the 19th and the 20th. All right.
20th, yeah. Burning of the E on Thursday for everybody that understands what that is.
Are you getting honored as the Outstanding X, or has that already happened?
That's already happened. But I got something that's in the works that I'm not sure if it's set. But you may think that it's not bad. VIP, since you had the VIP call. But we'll see.
Are you guest hosting for Football Friday night that night? Is that the secret?
Well, no, I can't tell you. However, it should be worthy of VIP, and we'll see if it can pan out. But we'll get your thoughts as soon as I get confirmation.
All right. I've got a feeling I have an idea of what this could be, but we'll find out. We'll keep guessing. Thanks for the phone call.
Right.
We'll talk to you. All right.
Much love. Much love to the 915, baby. I'll talk to y'all soon.
The Foss. Steve Foster joining us here on our Longhorn Distributing Hotline. The Sports Talk continues. All right. Back with more in a moment. Charlie 1 with traffic, 600 ESPN El Paso. Back on Sports Talk, 27 now past the hour. Tim Haggerty will join us a little bit later for story time. Then we'll get to the bottom of the informative Hag tweets and find out if in fact, as Cody Decker suggested, this could just be Tim's joke. Can you imagine if Tim did pull a Kaiser Sose on us and that was his little joke?
A little Kevin Durant burner account, something like that, and then admits to it?
That would go back 10 years. I don't know. He's been after that account since the beginning. And if this is really him, he's a genius. Then that is the greatest ruse of all time.
He's like tweeting in the middle of innings, like a couple of good informative Hag tweets.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be great.
This comes from J Hockey Fan, the number 10. Transfer portals should be from mid-December to end of February. Nobody cares for the bowl games not named the CFP, especially now that it's 12 teams. No one cares for the New Mexico Bowl at 6-6. 7 wins should be eligible, guaranteed winning season. See, I agree with that take, but the problem is there's too many games. And because there's so many there's too many bowls. There's too many bowl games. And because there's so many bowl games, sometimes you have to go 6-6 or 5-7, which shouldn't even be allowed. Like, Nobody should be rewarded to be 500 or even worse to go bowling, but that just shows you how many games we have right now.
Yeah, actually, I don't agree with the take at all here because I feel like they're getting the lines blurred here. He's trying to cross lines here that aren't really the same thing. Like the transfer portal is one thing, and then players opting out for bowl games, devaluing all these bowl games is another thing. I mean, before the transfer portal window was there, you still had guys opting out of bowl games. Just look at that NC State, Arizona State, Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl game. I mean, it felt like everybody sat out that game, and that kind of was the domino effect. Every single year afterward, players just followed suit.
My question is this. Now that teams are getting so much money from NIL, will that keep them from opting out? Because now more and more players are looking to stay in college than go out and be early entries for the draft.
Yeah, my thought is I wonder how this will actually have a ripple effect. We've seen it in college basketball, like Armando Bacot didn't enter the draft and then decided to stay his final season at North Carolina. It didn't really help him. He wasn't going to be drafted anyway. So it's for those guys who are just the made-for-college type of players. It benefited guys like Bo Nix. This year we'll see if it benefits somebody like Dylan Gabriel over with Oregon. I'm interested on that, Steve, because, yeah, you're right. Like you talk about maybe like a Tennessee or something like that. They can pay their best guy a couple $1 million, and that might be a difference for him him or her in a women's sport to actually stay with that team instead of hitting the portal.
You can't tell me, though, Adrian, you can't tell me that you like watching 6-6 or 5-7 teams go bowling.
No, I don't. I'm with that. I'm totally behind that take, too. I do think there are too many bowl games. The Gin and Juice Bowl over here. We're just trying to make money for these sponsors over here. Now, if some of these players, if we start to get creative and we talked NIL deals for MVPs and stuff like that for these bowl games, then we start to get real interested in these quote-unquote meaningless bowl games.
That's true. If you kick in $50 to $100,000 for the MVP, guaranteed there might be some players thinking twice about that.
Imagine if the Gin and Juice Bowl, presented by Snoop Dogg, by the way, what if Snoop Dogg gave the leading passer $1,000, the leading rusher $1,000, and then the special teams player of the game $1,000? And
a lifetime supply of Snoop weed?
There you go. 21 and older.
Yeah, now you're dealing with something big time. That's a huge deal.
That's an NIL deal, I guess.
Yeah, huge NIL deal for them. And for Snoop, that's right. No, all kidding aside, though, when J Hockey Fan 10 said nobody cares for bowl games not named the CFP, well, if that was the truth, the Sun Bowl would only draw about 10,000 fans and not what they normally get, which is they're 40 to 45, depending on who plays.
It's so funny because there are certain programs, no matter who's the coach, no matter who's on the team, a.k.a. Notre Dame, their brand overtakes everything else. Whereas there are coaches like Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Prime, that wherever he goes, the attention will go. So if he's at Colorado right now, what if next year he's over in the SEC leading a team like Arkansas? I'm just throwing that out there. But imagine that's the case. Everybody would go shift their focus over to a school like Arkansas then just forget about Colorado.
That's a good point. All right, we hit the bottom of the hour. We got one last Sports Center update. Let's send it back to Adrian with the latest, and then we'll come back with more in a moment. 600 ESPN El Paso. Now past the hour as we continue. Giovanni Gardier, remember that name because he is going to be wearing the Luke Laufenberg number 2 jersey this season. He was awarded the number 2 jersey by Scotty Walden in front of the team, and there was a lot of questions about who would carry on the legacy after what we've seen with Gavin Hardison the last couple years, and it turns out to be a minor who, as a sophomore, he's one of the few carryovers from last season. Caught a touchdown pass against Arizona, and now he gets an opportunity to showcase the number 2 Laufenberg jersey here this season.
I was surprised by this one, Steve. Giovanni Gardier was a veteran leader last year. He comes back on this team and is now provided more leadership as a veteran player on this team. I've heard a lot about him off the field, but I'll be honest, on the field, I didn't see him as much in a crowded wide receiver room that includes guys like Amari White, who's still trying to break onto the scene, Trey Goodman and Jaden Smith, who are newcomers and expect to be relevant contributors, Cam Thomas. But Giovanni Gardier, what he brings is that veteran presence. The coaching staff really likes who he is off the field as well. I got a chance to talk to him earlier in the week. I didn't even know this was happening. And when I talked to him, I was saying, I really liked your season last year, that touchdown that you alluded to against Arizona. But I feel like his better days are ahead of him. He's somebody who could end up being one of the top receivers on this team if he, applies himself the right way. So I like the fact that he was honored. It caught me by surprise, but in a good way.
I feel like it caught a lot of people by surprise. The good news is he's only a sophomore. So you wonder, as he works himself up the depth chart, will we see more and more of Giovanni Gardier?
I think we will. I mean, last year we saw a lot of him. He took the Justine Clark role and ran with it last year. He wasn't like your top receiver. Kelly Akari filled that spot. Yeah. But, as far as the receiver rotation, he definitely made his presence known last season.
All right. Meanwhile, we're almost a week away from the start of UTEP minor football. UTEP will be kicking things off a week from tomorrow on our partner station, 95.5 KLAQ, as they will go up against Nebraska in Lincoln. Start of the season, and Adrian, that means only one thing. We're going to be back at the district kicking it off for our UTEP football watch party.
Yeah, watch party next Saturday. I heard from the district they've had people call in, say that they need tables already, so the tables are going. If you want a table, just check out the district on Instagram. They told me that that's the best way to do it. It's at the District West, and call to reserve a table so that they can save a table for you. UTEP, Nebraska. Get there early. Get there around 1 o'clock. Kickoff is around 1:30 on Fox. The TVs are all going to be showing it. It's UTEP, Nebraska. And it's week 0 action out at the District West, 3233 North Mesa. They'll be having a pre-celebration and post-celebration after the Chihuahuas baseball game on Wednesday for some day baseball. So, yeah, just excited to partner back up with the district.
You know what else I'm really interested in on that ball game, which it's going to be televised nationally on Fox? Because the game is going to be on the queue. If we turn down the sound and put up John, will we be 7 seconds ahead of live action, or will we be perfectly in sync with each other?
I think we'd be behind a little bit. Yeah, I mean
ahead.
Do
you?
A little bit, yes.
So you think the TV feed will probably be 7 to 10 seconds or so behind the live action on the queue?
What I've done before when I've been back here at the station, listening/watching, usually we're ahead about 7 seconds. Yes,
really?
Even if it's a nationally broadcasted or a televised game.
Gosh, isn't it weird that they still throw that large of a delay even on a college football game?
It is. Yeah, it is.
What are you worried about?
That's what I'm wondering, man. I don't think there's the risk is not that high.
No, it's not that high. And, of course, we can't put our game in a 7-second delay to try to time it out with the national TV broadcast. Can't do that. We got to stay with ours live with John and Cole and Mondo. So, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. That'll be interesting. But that's next Saturday, folks. Head to the district and join Adrian. And then we've got Minor Talk after the game. Oh, my God. First Minor Talk of the season. I can't wait for that. Can't wait. All right. When we come back, story time with Hags and a whole lot more. Stay with us. Sports Talk continues. Wrapping up the week right here with you. 600 ESPN El Paso.